Hey everybody, welcome back to the Brandy Yvonne channel. I'm your girl, Brandy Yvonne, of course. Here at my channel, we do fun reviews, discussions, recaps of some of our favorite shows. It's Tuesday night, so of course we are talking about the hit show Kings of Napa. This is season 1, episode 6. I believe it was titled Mo Bottled Blues. Before we get started, please click the like button. Please click the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything over here to support the ministry, right? Also, comment. Love to see the comments and share if you're enjoying the content. Now, this episode, y'all, it was a lot. It was stressful. It was intense. It was so much build up, more secrets, very, very, very good discussions of some hard topics that we would definitely get into. I really enjoyed all the dialogue and discussion. This episode was more so dialogue and discussion and bombs dropping, not so much action going on to the beginning and the end. So let's get into the review. We're going to try to get in order, but you know we might get out of order over here, but we're going to give everything we need to give. All right, so also, y'all, it's past my bedtime, but I'm going to do my best to give y'all all I got. And then run to the shower and to bed. Anyway, so the episode opens up with, we see Bridget in the cop car. They got her handcuffed in the backseat of the cop car, y'all. And we see her mama, Melanie, on the ground. She's having a seizure or something. Vanessa and August are tending to her. Dana's just standing there. So the whole episode, we only have Melanie, Vanessa, Bridget, August, and Dana. This whole episode, okay? So they start to show off with that scene. So I'm like, what the F is going on here? What's going on here? What's going on? So then they flash on the screen 6 hours earlier. So basically, remember that scene, okay? The beginning scene, okay? So now, 6 hours earlier, we see August and Dana running around through the house because it's a bad storm over there in Napa, okay? It's thunder, lightning, raining, okay? So they're worried about the vineyards getting flooded because if the grapes get flooded, it's all bad. They're going to get ruined. So August is like, Dana's like, you need to do something with them grapes. With the flood, it's going to ruin the harvest. So August is like, don't worry, I got it covered. I got the field workers handling the grapes, and they laid tarps, and it's going to be good. So, which I didn't know about that with the vineyards, with the grapes and flooding and all that. So that was good to know. So anyway, they're walking around the house, and basically Dana, he's pretty much ready to bust Bridget, but August is like, we don't want to be unsure like we were with Otis. So then here come the white old lady maid, and she's like, oh, you guys might want to get down to the production facility real quick because there's an issue over there with Bridget. So they're like, Bridget coming on a Saturday to work. Dana's like, oh, she probably here to mess up the crops today, okay? She probably here to poison everything today. So they go over there, Bridget over there drinking a $1,500 expensive bottle of some wine out of Vanessa's good antique glasses, okay, which she not supposed to be touching, and they knew better as a kid not to touch them glasses, according to Miss Vanessa, okay? So she out there drinking the bottle, and Dana's like, she's like, oh, she got this news to spill on y'all, but she not gonna tell it till her mama get there. Dana's like, this better be $1,500 worth of news because she drinking a $1,500 vintage bottle of wine. So anyway, she's like, I'm just gonna wait till my mom gets here. I'm gonna feel more comfortable when that happens. And August is like, what's going on, girl? You could just tell me we good. And she's like, no, I'd rather wait. And so August is like, oh, is that my mom's antique glass? And then they're reminiscing about the old days of when they would take the mom's glasses, and the mom would say, somebody better call Child Protective Services because there's a kid about to go missing up in here. And so, because I'm about to kill him. So that's what the mom would say when they would still be cutting up, doing something they wasn't supposed to do, and taking her antique glasses, and they had a tea party with the glasses, and they thought they was going to get a whooping for show that time, and August was laughing, saying, yeah, her mom is all bark, no bite. So anyway, then August was like, but girl, please put the glass back, because I'm not, I don't want to hear my mama mouth today, girl, please put it back. So then Bridget's like, no, it's going to go where, she needs something good to go with this crazy news, basically. So Bridget real smug. She might be a little drunk. Bridget on some new stuff this whole episode. She on some new stuff. She got a new attitude, y'all. So anyway, then August is like, go find Melanie. Dana is like, nah, we need to bust her. We know she the one poisoning the grapes and all that. So then August is like, we don't want to be insured, so go find Melanie. So Dana goes to find Melanie. Melanie comes. She's like, Bridget, what's going on, girl? And so then basically Bridget said, okay, so how many of you guys knew that our grandma was in a psych ward and not in Paris like our family has told us? So then they're like, what? Like, girl, you tripping. Grandma's in Paris. First of all, why would y'all think y'all grandma in Paris? Like, that don't even make sense now that we talking about it out loud. But I don't know. I mean, I guess they had no reason not to believe she was there, right? But it's like, well, why is grandma in Paris? It just don't make no sense. But anyway, lies, okay? That's what happens when you lie. So Bridget says, yeah, Auntie Vanessa when we went to New York, she took me to the psych ward to visit grandma, and that's where she is now. And then they're like, is this true, Melanie? And then Melanie's looking like, And then Vanessa came and she was like, why would Melanie's like, why would you take, my daughter to go see grandma? Like, why would you do that? She's like, yes, I took her. And so then they go into this whole story about the mom and the mom's mental health and how the dad really died. So Melanie's trying to plead her case because Vanessa's like, no, you killed dad and you're the one that sent mom to the psych ward. And Melanie's like, no, that's not how it happened. And Melanie goes on to explain that she came home one night drunk or something. It's not clear if she was really drunk or not, but I guess Melanie used to like to be a little party girl, okay? So she came home. The mom was infuriated with her, and the mom saw a joint in Melanie's purse. Vanessa's like, yeah, because she used to be real high. And so then the mom went off on her, and she's like, I guess she said she slapped her so hard she saw stars. I said her mom slapped the shit out of her, y'all. So then she covered her face and she thought her mom was about to, because her mom was about to hit her again. And I guess the dad tried to grab the mom, and the mom like hit the dad with her arm in the midst of the struggle. And he fell and hit a coffee table, banged his head on a coffee table, and that's what caused him to have an aneurysm, and he passed the next day. But the way the mom told it to Vanessa was as if the dad was kind of like getting into it with Melanie, and that's what caused him to have the aneurysm and pass away. So all this time, the mom spun it to be Melanie's fault when really it was the mom's fault. So the mom couldn't deal with the guilt and what happened of her husband dying, because now it's really her, we know, is the one that killed her husband. It's not really Melanie who killed her husband. So Bridget's like, wait, Mom, that means the grandma killed grandpa, not you. And she's like, yes, I'm gonna try to tell you. So first Vanessa's like, no, girl, you lying. You always gotta lie. And then Melanie's like, think about it. Dad never once raised his voice at us or never did anything like that. He was the more gentle one. And so then Vanessa's like, well, why didn't you say anything all this time? She's like, because Mom, she told me, what the story was going to be when it all happened. And she called the cops, and she made me go along with the story. She told me not to tell anybody. And she was so hard on me because I had her secret. She couldn't stand me anymore. So that's why Melanie and the mom weren't getting along, because the mom couldn't stand that her daughter knew what the truth was. And that's kind of what gave the mom her downward spiral with her mental health. And killing her husband, it caused her to snap. So then, when Vanessa came home from tennis camp, that's the story Vanessa was told. But Vanessa told the story to Bridget as if Vanessa was there, but Vanessa was not there when all this went down. So then, eventually Melanie's like, it's my fault for not saying anything and telling the story how it went. I should have stood up for the truth, and then that part is my fault. But I'm like, Melanie, you were a kid. According to this story, it sounds like you were like a teenager. Like, she can't hold that on her. She was a kid. She wasn't an adult. That's not fair. The mom should not have done that in the first place. But clearly the mom had her own issues, and that's what happens with adults and kids and all that. So we're going to get more into this trauma in our lives here. So then Vanessa was like, she's understanding and all that. And so Melanie said she eventually moved to Georgia to live with some family, and So then Vanessa was there, and she ended up having to take care of her mom because her mom was mental health was just getting worse, and she basically snapped. She was a teenager. She was like, I understand, Melanie, but why didn't you come help me? When I called you to please come back home and help me take care of mom, you didn't come. You kept saying you were going to come and you didn't. She's like, I missed out on dates and prom and high school events because I had to take care of mom. And this one day I came home from school and she's outside walking up and down the street with just her panties on and talking and, so the mom really had a bad mental health breakdown, it sounds like. So Vanessa said at that time she was 18, she was old enough to be her conservatorship. So they had to make the hard decision to go ahead and put her in a psychiatric care home because, Vanessa, of course, couldn't do that the rest of her life. I mean, there's people who do, but that's tough calls when you have to take care of family. She was way too young. I'm going to say no. She was way too young. 18, she had her whole life ahead of her. That wouldn't be fair to her, So sometimes you got to put people in a home, unfortunately, but I know those are tough decisions to make, especially when you're young. Those are tough decisions to make. So anyway, Melanie, she didn't come back home because she didn't feel like she could deal with it. And she said she was acting out of control, like kept acting up after that happened when she still was at home because she didn't know how to carry the burden of that secret of what really happened. Okay. So they both agreed to put the mom in the mental health facility, and they just both agreed to move forward and not look back and not, they came up with the lie because. So then the kids, Dana, August, and Bridget are like, well, why, why lie? Like, we'd rather have the truth. Dana made a good point. He said that, the truth feels better than the lie. The lie hurts worse, And so they're like, at that time, mental health was a thing you cover up. It was such a stigma. It's not like now where it's more talked about, more normalized. So we just thought it was in the best interest to, put mom in the home, not talk about it again, and not to bring it up. And they're like, you didn't think about how it would affect us. And they're like, honestly, we just were doing what we thought was best. So they're not thinking about, okay, this is going to affect our grandkids if we just tell them grandma in Paris, because they're not thinking about, how everything's going to affect the next generation, which is what usually happens, right? When we create this generational traumas and all that. So, they seem to have like a coming to Jesus moment in that scene, and everything was, working out, and Vanessa found her fondue pot, and she was saying how they used to put the cheese in it, and Bridget ate all the cheese, and then she got scared she was going to get in trouble. She put some art clay or something in it, and then Christian ate it, and Vanessa had to clean it, and it was just a hot mess. And so then Bridget was like, yeah, let's put some white cheese in here right now, some cheese in here, some white wine, Dana, and fired it up. And so Dana's like, I'm not your pillow princess, because already Dana is through. Dana is through with Bridget because of what he saw last week on the cameras, okay? Now, let me back up, because I forgot about Rose. Rose is not an episode. Rose was supposed to be down to the office doing a PR presentation for the new bottle of wine. So she wasn't there. She texted the doorman for an apartment in New York, texted Dana saying that Rose just got to New York. What do you want me to do? He's like, keep an eye on her. So Rose had ran off town. She didn't ran off, y'all. Rose had ran off, okay? So they were trying to get this presentation together before they had to go check and see what Bridget was over there talking about in the production facility. And August was like, where is Auntie Yvette? Where is Christian? Where is everybody? So Dana was like, Auntie Yvette's doing this, and Christian's down in LA doing that, and everybody's doing this and that. We're going to just do this presentation together ourselves. So then back to the drama, y'all, at the production facility. So then families talking. They seem like they coming to Jesus. They kumbaya, they getting it together, okay? So then, Melanie's like, I'm sorry. She apologized to Vanessa for not coming back home to help with the mom. And they seemed like they was really about to, make a move forward. But then we can't forget what you did, Melanie, with Reggie, okay? So Vanessa's like, Melanie, I can forgive you for mom. But she's like, but I can't forgive you for Reggie. So then it's like, dang. But, can't blame her. We can't blame her. So then she going off about Reggie, saying you wanted Reggie because he looked like dad. He remind you of dad. You want him because he reminds you of dad, girl. And then she's like, no, he did not. I mean, his spirit was kind of like dad's, but he did not remind me of dad. And she was like, yeah, I knew when I brought him home, I noticed you liked him. And I thought it was just a little innocent crush, but I never thought you would open your legs to her, girl. Just spread your legs all open to him. And so then Melanie was like, I didn't have to open my legs to him. He came to me. I did not have to chase after him. He came to me willingly and gently and softly. I was like, oh, Melanie, why you put it on her like that, girl? You weren't supposed to do it like that. I need you to humble yourself, Melanie. Humble yourself. So then they start getting into it. They look like they about to darn near fight. So they arguing and fussing and fighting and cutting up. So then they had August and Bridget had to break them up. And Dana's like, nah, let them fight. Let them have it out. Now, mind you, they didn't have to find some food and scrap some food together. They found some Cheetos and some food for a presentation because they in there hungry. Also, by this time, the power has went out. I forgot to mention that. It's storming real bad. It's thunder, lightning. The power went out. And another factor that's going on is if the fermentation facility, since it doesn't have power, if it gets too hot, it's going to ruin the grapes. It's going to make everything too hot. So the power being out is not good. Bridget said they only got like 3 hours to get that together. And so August is like, help me, Bridget. Bridget's like, girl, like, why do you want me back so I can do that? Like, oh yeah, girl, you only got 3 hours to save these grapes. Like, Bridget don't care about them grapes. She don't care, okay? She on some other stuff, I told y'all. So then the backup generator came on, but all the power still didn't come on. That they couldn't get out the door. So they all stuck in this area together while we fussing and fighting. Okay, I forgot to set the tone. So set the scene, I should say. So then, and also Vanessa had got some kind of security system when she heard about the extortionist. And so if the power's out, it locks all the doors. So that's how they end up being locked in. And they need the full power for the fermentation. The temperature is getting hotter, so the grapes might go all bad, and they need the grapes. And Bridget was trying August about the grapes, saying, girl, you don't know how the Maloro grapes do, and the other grapes do. You don't know the grapes like that. And August was like, I don't. You know the grapes. You got a good relationship with the grapes. I'm learning. So that's why I said Bridget owns the other stuff, y'all. So anyway, back to the main scene, though. So then they got the fussing and fighting. And then they kind of calmed down, went in their separate corners. And then Melanie was like, anyway, the affair with Reggie, when it happened the one time, okay, then it ended. But then once you decided to run off and go back to being a journalist, I had to step in and be mom to Dana and August. And so then the affair kept happening more with Reggie. So then everybody's like, what? Vanessa? What? So then, turns out, Vanessa and Reggie had some issues, I guess. Then they had an agreement because Vanessa wanted to get back to her journalism. Remember, that was her job. She wanted to get back into her career. She was like, before Barbara Walters and Joy and Oprah and them, it was me and Jane Kennedy and whoever else. We were trying to spin the narrative on our on Black stories as journalists, and they were, making moves. So they was like, oh, you was a low-key activist. She was like, girl, I was trying. So basically, she had Dana in August, and then, or I don't know who's older. I think Dana's older. And so she left. Melanie had to pay mama to them and with Reggie and the kids. And then Vanessa came back, and then they had Christian. Now, I think Christian got a different daddy than the rest of them. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Because, remember, she had an affair with somebody. Didn't she have an affair with somebody in that time as well? They came out in an earlier episode, like in episode 1. I don't know. But she said Christian was the icing on the cake or cherry on top. And now, her and Reggie really worked it out and did the work. And she was happy to come home and be a mom and all that, but I don't know. I think Vanessa got one more secret. Y'all comment below, let me know what y'all think. But I think Christian got a different daddy. I think Reggie is not Christian's dad. But y'all let me know. I could be wrong. I'm just speculating. So anyway, so then August is like, August, Dana's like, dang, Mom, so you left us like that? And she's like, no. So she's explaining how she was an activist and all that and doing journalism, doing her thing. And she came home, she got her life together. So then August is like, Mom, like, I wish you would just told me the truth. Like, you're always riding us about having kids, riding me about being a mom. And women today, you know, we want to try to have a career and we want to have kids and a husband. And we know that we don't need all those things just to fulfill us. Like, we can just have our career to fulfill us, or we could do it all or not do it all. But basically what August was saying, that it's different for women today. Like, you know, women today in our current, like, generation, like millennials, we tend to put our career first before having kids and having a family. And a lot of women now feel like they don't have to get married and have kids to fulfill their life or to make them whole, which is true. You don't, right? That doesn't have to be your ultimate goal in life just because you're a woman, and that's what society says. So August is like, I wish you would stop putting so much pressure on me. Like, I like my career too, just like you did, and you had these experiences. I could have related to you instead of you hounding me about having kids. And basically Vanessa was like, I wasn't trying to hound you. I just want you to be happy with having kids like the way I did and all that. So then we see Dana going through it and with his texts, and he's like, dang. So I guess Rose had texted him again. I didn't see what that text said, if it showed it. And so anyway, he's like, oh, it's Rose. And they're like, she coming back? And he was like, no. And we going through some stuff. And Vanessa and August is like, what's going on? Like, let me know. And then he's talking about how Bridget should know she's having an affair with Bridget. And so August is like, nah, Bridget wouldn't do that. She family. Rose loves you. Like, no, chill out. And so then Vanessa and August talked to Dana about all that. Then we see Bridget talk to Melanie. Melanie over there sweating and patting because she's still sick. Remember, there might be possibilities she got Zika virus or something she done caught from being in Africa, y'all. And so, cause remember she went to the doctor last episode about that, and the doctor wasn't too sure what she had. So then, but now mind you, I keep seeing her with a wine glass, but she patting and sweating. I'm like, girl, if you sick, you don't need to be drinking no wine, but whatever. So then, Bridget went to her, was like, Mom, why didn't you come home to me? Like, why didn't you raise me? And so basically Melanie said, you know, you needed a stability, you needed a family, and you got that here. Like, when I went to Africa and I was nursing there, like, that fed my soul, and I needed that at that time. And especially after having the affair and the settlement had just happened, like, I needed to get away. But I'm sorry. I know I should have been here with you. I should have had you with me. And so then they had a little come to Jesus moment. Then Bridget is like, oh, I feel like I'm repellent. I've been abandoned. You abandoned me. And in August, and now I have this woman that I like, but I can't be with her, and she's ran off, but she's married, and I don't want to do to her marriage what you did to Reggie and Vanessa. And so then she got a text from Rose. And so then somehow Dana had stormed in there, and he snatched her phone and seen that Rose text her, like, saying thank you, and I'm in New York, and love, and a heart, and all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, see, I knew it. You sleeping with my wife, and da-da-da. So then everybody get to arguing and fussing all over again. We can't make no progress up in here. And so then August over there struggling to breathe. She having an anxiety attack, panic attack. So then she told everybody to shut up, be quiet. She had a heart-to-heart, everybody. Said, Dana, Rose is your number one cheerleader. You need to make it right with her. She would never do this to you. Bridget is family. She would never do that to you. You need to work it out with Rose. She has been your ride or die from number one, from day one. And then Vanessa and Melanie, your mom, auntie, y'all need to get together. The past is the past. Y'all need to work it out. Y'all need to, let it go, move forward. We're sisters. We all we got. We gotta do better. All this, trauma and things, we're airing it out. We got to move forward. We're on the right path. Let's lift each other up. So she really gave them a good, healthy speech. Okay, so then seemed like everybody came to Jesus again, y'all. And then I believe they all went into the living room, and they eating, they singing, they doing karaoke. I forgot what song they were singing. It was an old school song. I Will Survive. I believe it was I Will Survive. Meanwhile, Dana just sitting there on the sofa with his plate looking like he is not about to do no karaoke. They tried to put the mic in his face. He was like, mm-mm. So now all this time, Dana has had an attitude with Bridget this whole time in the facility. Like any little jokes she was trying to have him be on with her, he was not feeling it. Okay, he was not feeling it. So then they're all having a good time singing Foo La La in the living room. All the girls, they're made up. They just having a good time, y'all. So then the white old lady maid came back again, said, so the police are here. So then they ran out there, and then the cops came in and said, Bridget Pierce, you're under arrest. So they done got Bridget in the handcuffs. They're like, no, what's going on? This is a mistake. No. And so then I was just like, Dana, did you do this? And he's like, yes, I did. She's the one poisoning the grapes. I gave all the evidence to Sean. It all adds up. It makes sense. Bridget is the one. Bridget got to go. So basically, Dana been sitting on ready this whole time and has called the cops on this girl. So I feel like he knew from the top of the day, or at some point in the day when they was fussing and fighting and he got his cell phone service back because all the power came back on, he called 911 to get Bridget out of there because he was done with Bridget, okay? So he was like, yeah, I saw her on surveillance. She said that she's known Reggie's our dad the whole time. And she also was making out with my wife. She is the extortionist. She's trying to destroy the family. She got to go. So then I was just like, dang, come on. So then they all go outside, and Melanie's trying to fight for her daughter. She tried to block her from putting Bridget in the cop car. So then the cop kind of like, I don't know if he threw her or shoot her or what, but basically the cop knocked Melanie on the ground. And that like sent her body into like convulsions. It looked like she's having a seizure to me. And so then Vanessa and Alex is tending to her. So basically it's back to the scene we saw at the very beginning of the episode, y'all. Okay, let me know what y'all thought of that episode. That episode was doing the most. Bridget claiming she was set up, y'all. I don't know who's the extortionist at this point. Like, I was pretty sure it was Bridget last week, but now I don't know. But Bridget knows something. And if it's not Bridget, she knows what's up because it's not making sense. It's not making sense. So either it's Bridget or somebody connected to Bridget. Bridget knows what's going on, though. I believe Bridget knows what's going on and who's doing the extorting. I believe it. Y'all let me know what y'all thought of the episode and this review. We will see you again here next week for Kings of Napa. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.